Good morning and welcome to our Jesse Tree devotion for December 9th. Our ornament for this morning is our coat of many colors. And the title is called Surprise Gifts. Our reading comes from Genesis 37, 3-4, and then 50, 15-17, and 19-20. Jacob loved Joseph more than any of his other children, because Joseph had been born to him in his old age. So one day, Jacob had a special gift made for Joseph, a beautiful robe. But his brothers hated Joseph because their father loved him more than the rest. They couldn't say a kind word to him. Now that their father was dead, Joseph's brothers became fearful. "Now Joseph will show his anger and pay us back for all the wrong we did to him," they said. So they sent this message to Joseph. "Before your father died, he instructed us to say to you, 'Please forgive your brothers for the great wrong they did to you, for their sin in treating you so cruelly. So we, the servants of God of your father, beg you to forgive our sin.'" Joseph replied, "Do not be afraid of me. Am I God that I can punish you? You intended to harm me, but God intended it all for good." And our devotion. This family tree kept growing, like the biggest Christmas tree where we find the greatest gift. Adam had a son named Seth, and Seth had many great-grandsons named Noah, and Noah had a son named Shem, who had a many great-grandson named Abraham, who had a son named Isaac, who had a son named Jacob, who had 12 strapping sons, including one of the littlest ones, whose name was Joseph. Jacob decked out his boy Joseph in a colorful coat that looked like a present, wrapped up with 1,000 different ribbons. When Joseph spun around in the robe, he looked like a spinning globe, all lit up with colored lights. Joseph's brothers did not like this. They didn't like Joseph spinning around in his colorful coat from his dad, so they schemed up a plan to weasel him out of his coat and right out of the family. They tore the coat off Joseph, dipped its fraying hem in some blood, sold their little brother to total strangers who just happened to be wandering by. And then they went home and showed the torn and bloody coat to their dad. The whole mess tore out their father's heart. Messes and mean things can do that. Some days when you feel brave, you can give yourself a gift and tell someone that what has torn your heart. Some days when you feel brave, it's almost like you can reach to the pieces where your heart feels torn and touch the gentle peace of God. Joseph sold into Egypt by his very own brothers to be a slave, sold to strangers far away from the hug of his very own father. He got brave one day, and when he was in the land far away from his father's arms, it was like he felt along the torn edges of his heart, and he whispered the truth he saw. What someone else meant for bad, God means to make it good. No matter what tries to tear you apart, God holds your heart. No matter what bad was meant to harm you, God's good arms surround you. You can stand around your Christmas tree with a family tree as messy as Joseph's, with cheaters and beaters and deceivers, with a family like Jacob's, who ran away and ran around and ran folks down. But out of a family that felt just like a mess, God brought Jesus, the Messiah. Many years later, after Joseph gave his starving brothers food and they realized who this generous man really was, Joseph embraced each of his brothers with forgiveness. God always brings good out of the bad. God always turns hard things into good gifts. One day, Jacob's many great-grandson would be born in a manger and wrapped in rags by his earthly father, and he would grow up to be sold by his friends and torn apart on a cross. And God would take that greatest sadness and make it into the gladness of the greatest gift for us. Jesus embraces us with forgiveness and rescues us from all the sin and sadness. God always takes crosses and turns them into gifts. All the world robed in a beautiful coat of Christmas. We're loved by our God. We who all spin around in these lit colors everywhere. And so we hang our coat of many colors on our tree. Thoughts to discuss. Share about a time when God turned something bad into good for you and your family. How can recalling this story of Joseph help you celebrate God's love for you today? And an activity you could do. Make something colorful and share it with someone you love. And when you hang your Jesse tree ornament, thank God that God always brings good, even out of bad. Thank you, and we'll see you back here tomorrow for December 10th.